How's it going, everyone? Want to go over a pretty massive rumor that has made the rounds over on social media from Lunatic Ignis, and this has gotten a lot of people excited. Now, I would temper your excitement a little bit, but it does seem like something that would be a formality for Sony to eventually do, and that is God of War: The Greek Saga Remastered. Not the actual title, it was noted, but I'll talk about that and why it's so interesting, because there's a lot of games to cover if you're familiar with the original God of War games, which I know a lot of you are, and those games are absolutely beloved by people. God of War Greek Saga is rumored to be in the works. Lunatic Ignis noted on Twitter, yes, the rumors are true. God of War Greek Saga Remastered, not the actual title, is in the works at Santa Monica Studios and Nixxes Software. The development is finished and they're just waiting for an announcement releasing in 2025 with an announcement December to March. Now, Lunatic Ignis is not exactly one of the insiders and one of the reporters that I would say is like a tier 1 reporter, one of the elite reporters, like a Jason Schreier, or a lot of the ones that are really in the inside and are very much aware of what's going on. Insider Gaming and the work they do, a lot of their reports, I would say, are top level. So take it with a grain of salt at this point. However, at some point you would imagine God of War Greek Saga to come to fruition. Given the fact that Santa Monica is probably going to be doing their new IP next and releasing that new IP that has been rumored for quite a while, I would imagine this is a good way to bridge the gap into the next God of War game, which is potentially starting a new arc. And if you want to start a new arc, it would be great to get a lot of people familiar with Kratos' original story. I actually have a friend that absolutely loves God of War now, but he never played any of the God of War games pre-God of War 2018, and 2018 and Ragnarok has become some of his favorite games, and it's wild to me that these games aren't readily accessible. Yes, God of War 3 is playable on the PlayStation 4, but it very much suffers from what Uncharted 4 on PC suffers from, in that, bro, God of War 3 is available on PlayStation 4. You would want to play God of War 1 and 2, much like Uncharted 4 is available on PC. You want to play Uncharted 1 through 3 first. Nobody's trying to jump right into God of War 3. Nobody's trying to jump right into Uncharted 4. We need to preserve and get readily accessible God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War Ghosts of Sparta, and throw God of War Ascension in there as well. That is 6 games. Yes, 6 games. And it was noted that this development is done by Nixxes Software, and Nixxes had said that they are working on new PlayStation releases alongside just being a PC port studio, because they did Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, and that is their first work. I still feel like Nixxes, because of their talent with porting and upgrading, that they are going to be tasked to do a lot of things like a God of War Greek Saga Remastered, and that makes a lot of sense. And this is the type of game that you could already have done and ready to go and be released pretty quickly thereafter. Now, it is another re-release, and the issue with these re-releases is, again, from an optics standpoint. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, I look at that release, and in a vacuum, I really don't think it's all too bad. It's a $9.99 upgrade. Yes, I think them doubling the price of Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely whack, but there are significant visual improvements being made, and I think the game looks really good. It's the optics, it's the context surrounding it that Sony is not releasing any major first-party titles, and they have this perception, and perception is reality, and in this case it kind of is reality, that they just re-release older games and they don't actually make new games. They did make a new game called Concord that was an absolute disaster, and they wasted a lot of their muscle releasing that game. And Astrobot was cool, but it's a smaller scale game. You throw in the optics of not releasing any new games and the optics of releasing a $700 console where they're promoting PlayStation 4 games on that console, it just doesn't look good from that standpoint. Now, God of War Greek Saga Remastered would be a little bit different, because God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War Ascension, God of War Chains of Olympus, and God of War Ghosts of Sparta, none of those games are readily accessible on PS4 and PS5. They're all available on PlayStation 3, but they're stuck in PS3 purgatory because we don't have PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility. So it's not like Horizon Zero Dawn, where it came out 7 years ago and it's readily playable on PS4 and it still looks pretty good. Yeah, God of War 3 is available via God of War 3 Remastered on PS4, but look at all of those other titles, and I would try to get every game to be released. However, when you talk about every game, you're talking 6 different games. Guys, how Sony works these days, I highly doubt that all 6 games are going to be included in one collection. The best case scenario I could see them doing is doing God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War 1, God of War 2 in a Volume 1 of the collection, and then Volume 2 is God of War 3, God of War Ghosts of Sparta, and God of War Ascension. Really, with how Sony operates these days, I could see in a world being God of War 1 and 2 is Volume 1, God of War Chains of Olympus and God of War Ghosts of Sparta are Volume 2, and then God of War 3 and God of War Ascension are Volume 3. I could see them trying to get 3 game releases out of it, but 1 game release for 6 games, I just don't see that happening. I just know that Sony knows at this point that they can get some longevity out of their IPs. And how do you extend that monetization cycle? Oh, you charge $50 for God of War 1 and 2. Oh, let's turn around and charge $50 for Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus. Oh, let's turn around and charge $50 again for God of War 3 and Ascension. I actually think that 3 and Ascension bundle would be the least appealing because 3 is already available and Ascension isn't received exceedingly well, but I think all of that would do fairly well. And 3 volumes, guys, that's me being absolutely pessimistic, but I feel like I have every right to be pessimistic with Sony these days. But the idea of getting God of War 1 and 2, Chains of Olympus, Ghosts of Sparta, God of War 3, and Ascension all on modern platforms, and given that it is Nix's, probably would be released on PC right out the gate as well. That'll offer you a lot of value, but again, if this is coming out sometime in the early portion of 2025, it is a bad look as far as optics go, because at that point, Ghosts of Yotai still won't be out, and you'll still have that perception that Sony's just releasing old games, and I do think that's a little bit of a problem, and I think it would behoove them to destroy that perception, but ultimately, Sony can do whatever the hell they want. They really have no competition, and yeah, they're just gonna be straight chilling. I'm sorry, but that is the reality of the situation. They don't have to really worry about what I think about their perception in the industry. They have to worry to an extent, but at this point, it really doesn't matter because there's not any entity that's gonna check them in the console market. Yeah, Nintendo's gonna release the Switch 2 and live on their own island, and Sony's gonna, you know, still be the dominant king within this console market, and Microsoft isn't really going to provide a lot of pushback to that, which I think is just a horrible, horrible outlook for the state of the console industry, and Sony just getting more powerful in the console market space, which I really don't want, and Sony is at their best when they do have their back against the wall, but I've been a broken record as far as that's concerned. But that'll do it for me. Again, I would be incredibly excited about it, but the optics are a little bit of an issue. I do think they're going to get clowned on social media, and then ultimately I think this would still sell millions and millions of copies, and nobody would care in the grand scheme of things. And I do think, you know, they would split it up in terms of multiple volumes. The idea of 6 games in one collection, I mean, at that point, you could probably price that collection at $60. If you literally put God of War 1, 2, 3, Ascension, Chains of Olympus, and Ghosts of Sparta all in one collection, all in one package, I think a lot of people would just pay $70 for that. What does that end up being? If my math is correct, like what, $13.67 a copy, like per game, if my second grade level math is correct. I think that was right. But yeah, that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.